Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Johanna and I currently live in Japan as a university student. And in today's video, I'm going to introduce to you all the books that I kept from my Japanese language school. But first, let me give you a little backstory to this whole video. So when you apply to a language school and you pay your tuition fee, one part of that tuition fee will go towards school materials or study materials. So basically your homeroom teacher will have like buffer money to use to buy books that fit the class that she's teaching. If you start at the beginner's level, the school usually has already decided what books to use for that, like Genki or Minano Nihongo. But as you progress in level as a class, the teacher will start looking at the level of the class and what kind of books would be needed for the students in that specific class. And so then they will choose books for the class based on that. So even if the class next to you is at the same level, you might be using different books to study depending on what the teacher thought was necessary for your specific class. Again, this usually applies to when you've already finished the basics, so usually it starts around when you start to study N3. When I enrolled in my language school, I already had prior experience of studying Japanese, so the class that I was placed in skipped the Minano Nihongo series and the basics and started straight off with N3 and a little bit of N2 as well. I have since graduating given away all of my N3 books, so as of right now, I do not own any N3 books at all. I have also given away all of the books I used for self-studying before enrolling in my language school. I figured that since I'm very confident about my N3 skills and figured that I would probably never go back to those books again. They just took up unnecessary space and weight, especially when I moved from Fukuoka to Kanagawa. They just didn't fit in the bags that I had. They were too heavy. So all of the books that I still had left, I gave away to friends in my church and in my language school. So that was my first point. Now, since my class started off at N3, we managed to go through the whole N3 level, N2 level, and went on to study the N1 level as well. So all of the books I have kept are either N2, N1, or some other books that I'm going to show you later. Now, let me introduce to you all of the books that I kept from my language school and explain a little about why I kept them. So the first books I want to introduce are these grammar books from the So Matome collection. When I enrolled in my language school, as I mentioned before, I started studying with N3, but we actually started to use this book, N2, for grammar right off the bat, which was pretty scary and intimidating in the beginning since I had never thought of myself like being at the N2 level when I started. But yeah, this is the book that we used in the very beginning. We managed to finish this whole book and then we went on to the N1 version as soon as we finished the N2 one. I think a lot of you have watched my video when I go into Japanese bookstore and introduce my favorite books, and in that video I did talk about this one, and I think I mentioned that this is one of my absolute favorite books in my Japanese language journey. And the reason for that is because it's so easy to use and it's pretty easy to understand as well. I like how they explain the grammar points in the books. I like how it's structured, and to be honest, I don't know if I would have used this for self-studying, but since this was introduced to us in my language school, I used this and studied very hard with this book and learned a lot of really valuable grammar from this book. I did explain the layout of this book in the other video I made that I just mentioned, but I thought I could just give you a small introduction and show you what the book is like. So this book claims that you will be able to finish it in 45 days if you follow the structure in the book. Obviously, my class did not study every day just for 45 days, but I think we used this for the span of about a year. But as you can see in the book, you have different chapters that are broken up into weeks and days. So normally one day would consist of 3 to 4 different grammar points, and they're all kind of in the same category. So it could be talking about time, talking about change, talking about something negative, and all these grammar points will kind of reflect the same meaning. This layout was really helpful for me when I was studying and preparing for the JLPT exam because the grammar points are very easy to group together and remember in groups instead of just each grammar point by itself. So I'm really grateful that I had these books in preparation for my JLPT exams. I haven't used these books a lot since I graduated from my language school, but I have used them to revise my grammar from time to time. And I haven't used N1 as much as I have used the N2 book, since N2 has more grammar that you can actually use on a daily basis, like in formal conversations or in mails. While the N1 book is a lot more complicated grammar that you wouldn't use on a daily basis. So I haven't revised this one a lot, to be honest, since I graduated, but I still kept them because they have been my saviors in my, well, especially in my JLPT journey. So the next books that I want to introduce to you that I kept from my language school are my vocabulary books, one for N2 and one for N1. Now, in my opinion, if you own any vocabulary books, I do not think that you should throw them away because they never age. You always forget vocabulary and have to revise it, so keeping your vocabulary books I think just makes sense to me. I did have some vocabulary books for very easy vocabulary, like beginner's vocabulary, that I did give away to other friends, but for these high levels I'm never gonna throw these books away. And again, to be honest, I haven't studied a lot of Japanese with these books in general since I graduated my Japanese language school, but I have revised the vocabulary in these books a few times. The layout of these books is pretty straightforward, with words lined up with a specific theme and then some kind of test or a drill at the end of each page, or I guess each chapter. And like I said, the main reason why I kept these books is because I will technically never be able to finish them, since I will always forget words and be able to go back and revise in these books. The next books that I want to introduce to you are these 上級で学ぶ日本語. And these are books that they're not specifically named as N1 books, but they're basically books on the N1 level, and they are the main like workbooks that we use in our class. So usually in Japanese language school you have a main book that you focus on, and you get to learn grammar, you get to learn vocabulary and listening practices, and maybe other like practices like speaking or presentation or some stuff like that. And so this is the book that we used at the end. And to be honest, I'm not really sure why I kept this book. I haven't used it a lot since I graduated, except for reading through the texts in the book and kind of revising the reading exercises and the vocabulary. And oh yeah, this is the workbook together with this book. So in this we got all the exercises, like learning how to use the grammar we learned in this book, or how to put the vocabulary in this book into sentences, or like answering questions and stuff. But to be honest, I could just as well have not kept these books because I haven't really used them, but I guess it's also kind of as a memory that I've kept them, just to remember what it was that I actually studied in my language school. And it feels kind of like a waste to throw away all the books. So yeah, I didn't really keep these books for a specific reason, more than that I guess I thought that they would kind of become useful sometime, which I guess they have a few times. And that brings me to the last book that I kept from my language school. So as I said in the introduction, the teachers have like buffered money to use to buy books for their class, and so it depends on the teacher what kind of books they buy, how many books they buy, and how expensive they are. Depending on that, the teacher will have more or less money left at the end of the semester or the year. And so my teacher came at the end of our second school year and said that she had money left in the buffer for our class, and so she got kanji books for all of us. So we actually didn't really use these in class, but she was like, here is a gift for you before you graduate, since we had money left. So this is actually a really nice book for studying kanji, and I have used it since graduating from my language school. It basically lists, like it says here, the 2,200 most commonly used kanjis, and they're more or less listed in the JLPT order, so it's pretty easy to understand and kind of follow the level. I really think that the layout layout of this kanji book is great. It shows you how many strokes the kanji has, how to write it, how to pronounce it, what it means, and some different words put together with this kanji to form other words as well. It also shows you what JLPT level the kanji is, and also the kanken level of the kanji as well. So yeah, we didn't actually use this book in class since we got it at the very end before graduating, but I'm really happy that my teacher chose this book to spend the last money on for us to get, and it's a really great like kind of kanji handbook to have with you. And I always sometimes just like flip through the pages and try to pick up 1 or 2 new kanjis when I have some spare time. So yeah, this is a book that I'm very happy to have kept from my language school. And that is about it. I do own another book for studying kanji that I got before I enrolled in my language school, and it is the N2 level. And I didn't throw that away because I figured that I might forget some N2 kanji along the way, so I'm kind of using that for revision as well. But other than that, I do not own any Japanese books anymore. Just for some extra reference, I'm going to insert some pictures here on the screen of books that I have used for studying Japanese before and that I have given away to friends or other people at my language school. And with that said, I'm going to end this video by saying thank you so much for joining my channel. To everyone who has been joining lately, I am almost at 1,000 subscribers now, which is really exciting. I've kind of had like a little personal goal for myself to reach 1,000 subscribers before my birthday, which is actually in 1 week. But seeing how many new subscribers I'm getting per day at the moment, I'm not sure that I will be able to make it until my birthday. Let's hope for the best though. But yeah, I hope this video was educational and helpful in some way. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're interested in studying Japanese, what it's like going to Japanese language school, or generally life in Japan, and maybe if you want to follow my life here in Japan as well. If you want to follow my daily life here in Japan, you can also go ahead and follow my Instagram account, where I mainly post on stories about my daily life and whatever is going on at the moment. And if you're new, don't forget to check out all the other videos I've made about Japanese studies, universities, and Japanese language schools. The next time I'll be posting is actually on my birthday, and I'm gonna make a video talking about different things that I have learned about Japan since coming here, so look forward to that video. And with that said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!